Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. All right. The GOP certainly have their boogeymen when it comes to Democrats, not the least of which would be like George Soros and such. But we have our boogeymen too. And one of the biggest boogeymen of the Democratic Party would be the US Postmaster General Louis DeJoy. Yeah. Show of hands. How many people here have no idea the name of any other US Postmaster ever? Yeah, me too. There's no reason why I should know this. My brain cells should not be devoted to things like this. They should be devoted to Brady Bunch trivia, which, by the way, they have a lot of Brady Bunch trivia in them. But knowing the U.S. Postmaster General is not something that one of my brain cells should be dedicated to. But it is. Now, why is that? For those who don't know what I'm talking about, back in the Trump administration, there's a board that elects the Postmaster General. The president cannot get rid of the Postmaster General. It goes through a board, and Trump appointed board members. And they appointed this millionaire who was a mega donor to Trump to the U.S. Postmaster position. I think the general consensus is this is another one of those attempts to eventually privatize the postal system, because that's how oligarchs make their money, is by taking something like the post office and then privatizing it, or Social Security and privatizing it, and then they make a bunch of money off of that. Okay, just that's where this is going. That's why you can simply get there. So DeJoy gets put in, and he's going to streamline processes and make the post office profitable and stuff like that. You know, that's the rhetoric that's given. Now, the stuff he was doing, we could debate whether or not it's going to make the post office better or not. But one of the things he started doing was instituting policies like no overtime. And if the mail was on a truck, he wouldn't allow trucks to be loaded after a certain time if there was no guarantee that the mail could be delivered that day without there being overtime. So mail started slowing down, and there were unintended consequences. Anybody who's had barnyard chickens or backyard chickens would know that if you order chicks from online sellers, they just put the chicks in a box and throw it in priority mail, and you get it in a couple of days, and the chicks are alive. But because of these slowdowns, the chicks weren't getting delivered in the 2 days that they normally would. And there are packages just with dead chicks in there because the mail got slowed down. Again, unintended consequences. That's bad enough. But we were in a pandemic, and an election was coming up, and it was already known there was going to be a lot of mail-in ballots in there. In fact, we were being encouraged to mail in ballots because we hadn't had a vaccine yet. Remember, this is the summer of 2020. There's no vaccine out. The vaccine doesn't come out until like January or so of 2021. Or right thereabouts. I can't remember if it was December or January, but right in there. And again, more people are going to vote by mail. Trump is screaming that the votes by mail are going to be illegal, and he wants all of his supporters to go vote in person. And then DeJoy is doing stuff that's slowing down the mail, and then he's taking apart mail sorters in the summer before an election, to the point where there was a court order telling him to stop doing that and put them back together again for the ones that could be reassembled. It may not have been corruption. It might have just been really bad timing implementing his plan. But given what we were under in a pandemic, given the election that was coming up, and it was going to be easily the largest voted on election in United States history, and DeJoy's doing this, there's a reason why there's conspiracy theories about this dude. Okay, so now the expectation was when Biden came in, he was gone. Well, that's not how it works. You have to replace the board on the post office with your own people. And eventually Biden had enough people that he has a majority on the board that could have removed DeJoy about 8-9 months ago. It still hasn't happened. And people are frustrated because they wanted him gone. We don't know why. He's not gone. He's not gone. Let's ask the cards why he's not gone, okay? Entertainment purposes only. What's the energy around Louis DeJoy and the US Postal Service? Why is this guy still around? I believe I've done a reading on this months ago, and I think basically Biden has him in a box. But let's see. Nine of Swords, rushing forward recklessly. What's the energy around DeJoy and stuff like that? Rushing around recklessly. This could be DeJoy when he first came in. This could be, let's just keep going with it. Crossed with the Five of Swords, winner takes all. I think he came in as Donald Trump's champion. He lobbied Trump that he alone could fix the post office. He alone could do it. And Trump talked with him, and he wanted to get rid of, overtime pay, and it would slow down the mail. And then Trump realized what a brilliant thing this was. This could be just one of those cases where, DeJoy basically bought the job and then became a flunky of Trump, that his business ideas would actually play into Trump's hands. Underneath it all is a burden. I think this job was a lot harder than DeJoy thought, and probably what he wasn't expecting was the public visibility that would be associated with this job given the pandemic. And that made his job as the Knight of Swords much more difficult to do. So he came in maybe to save Donald Trump, maybe to make the U.S. Post Office better, certainly to help privatize it. Trump saw the advantage of it and how it could also help him in an election. And this made DeJoy's job a lot harder, because when people like me know DeJoy's name, that's not good. In the past, Page of Wands. This is DeJoy going out, lobbying Donald Trump, giving him money, throwing proposals at him that he'd be great to be the lead of the post office. He's going to take the post office in a new direction. Just give it to me and I'll do the rest. Boss. Oh. The current situation was the theft, the corruption. Maybe he thought he was going to... Yeah. Basically, I go right back to what I had here. He was expecting to do his dirty work unnoticed. He was just going to come in, make those changes. Yeah, there were going to be some postal workers who were going to scream and complain, but the media was never going to pay attention to them because who were these postal workers? Problem was, it happened during a pandemic. By the way, the Knight of Swords was my card for the pandemic. So this could very well be that, DeJoy comes in during the pandemic and that just exposed everything. I forgot about that. The Knight of Swords was my pandemic card. So throw COVID in here as a big reason for DeJoy getting in and for people noticing what DeJoy was doing and making his job way harder. There were agreements in place. I suspect DeJoy was going to do stuff and was going to make... he was going to try and privatize the post office. This is going to be, the American oligarchs coming in, getting ready to divide up the spoils of the post office. That's kind of my thought on it. I'm sticking with that one. The lesson to be learned is, the changes were harder than he thought they were going to be. The money savings weren't quite what he thought was going to be. And maybe the lucrative nature of the job wasn't as good as he thought it was going to be. Maybe being a corrupt Postmaster General requires a lot more work to shake the coins off the money tree there. And it may be way more difficult to sneakily sell off parts or get the post office to the point where you could privatize it. The outcome is the Ace of Pentacles. Is that big money or is that fool's gold? I think in the end of the day for DeJoy, he was expecting big money out of this, and maybe he made big money out of this, but I think in the end it was going to be a foolish decision on his part, a foolish financial decision on his part, because he's noticed. If he could have done this in the dark of night, he would have made a bundle off of this. The agreements, the money in there, he would have made a bundle. But because there was a pandemic going on, because Trump can't keep a secret and keep his mouth shut, because people like me know who he is, and groups like MSNBC and at the time CNN, covered such things and uncovered shenanigans going on, all of a sudden that big money day didn't really materialize. At least not the way he envisioned it might. So why is DeJoy still in there? Why is Biden not removed DeJoy? Certainly Joe Biden could have removed Louis DeJoy by now. It's got the people in place. It's just not a priority. Is it because they have DeJoy in a box? It's just, it's kind of the the thought of, you catch a con man who's actually good at something, but he doesn't intend to follow through what he wants, and then say, okay, well, you're going to follow through with what you promised, or else. And then they have to begrudgingly do the job that they were going to con you on. In this case, making the post office more efficient. So why hasn't Biden replaced DeJoy? What's going on with that? Ooh, same card. That was the card that was over here, wasn't it? I think the government started watching him. That's why you had the Ace of Pentacles down here. The government started watching him and watching what he was doing and pay attention to the money and the business that was going on. Again, that was the card that came up in the lessons to be learned. When you're trying to sneak off and do your stuff, it doesn't work real well when the government's watching you. And then the Ace of Pentacles, DeJoy did not get the big payday that he wanted. Government is watching DeJoy. They can make a decision. I think they're hanging it over him. We can make a decision anytime we want. Ooh, wouldn't that be interesting if there's legal consequences that they're hanging over him too? You can just keep on being the Postmaster General. You keep putting on your efficiency stuff. And, if you do your job well, we won't prosecute you. Oh, there's that agreement again. Maybe they found out about agreements that were going on, or the government came up with their own agreements. God, both these cards came up. This was the overarching energy. And the outcome. Oh, okay. Here's what happened. The truth came out. Information came out. They found out about the plan and the agreements that DeJoy had in place. And now you've got a decision to make. Oh, they got him. They nailed him. Biden nailed him. And Biden's being a bastard. You just keep doing all the things you promised us. It's almost like Biden's being a fucking bastard. Oh, you said you were going to, improve the post office by 25%. Okay, you have until this date to do that. If you don't, we're going to prosecute you for the agreements that you made and the corruption that you were at. Or you can reduce it by 25% and everybody wins. Now, entertainment purposes only, I could be way off on that. But if I'm not, oh, Brandon, you are a dark mofo, aren't you? Put his feet to the fire and watch him scream. What's he gonna do? Quit? Nope. Sorry, not accepting your resignation. Not until we see that 25% bottom line improvement that you said you're gonna do. You'd hate to go to prison for 10 years for fraud, conspiracy, and such, and blackmail and bribery and stuff like that. That'd be terrible. I want to be a millionaire in prison for 10 years. He really is Dark Brandon. Okay, if I've read that correctly, he really is Dark Brandon. Or somebody in his administration is anyways. Oh, I love it. Okay, so what's the outcome for Louis DeJoy? Oh, let's go step. What's the outcome for Louis DeJoy after all this is said and done? Well, you did it to yourself. This is not how Louis DeJoy envisioned his life going. You know, he could have just been a millionaire enjoying his millions, but he did this and now he's in it. That was a foolish thing to do. Disappointment. His plans didn't work out. Oh, he got caught. It's a nightmare. I think underneath it, this really was going to be about disenfranchising voters. And the votes were going to be cast out. It was going to impact the government. The plan did not work out. It was a damn foolish thing for him to do because he got caught. And he's been having to pay the price ever since. So, okay. He might still... I was asking what happened. He might still face charges. He may not be off scot-free. Right now, it does not appear that he is doing damage to the post office. It does not appear that any actions he is going to do will impact, well, let's ask, impact the 2024 elections. But let's ask, will Louis DeJoy do anything that will negatively impact the ability to vote in the 2024 election? I know we've heard stories about trying to limit ballot boxes to one in a county, but I don't believe the post office has anything to do with that. They have more mail sorting issues and stuff like that. Okay, so will DeJoy have anything consequential in a negative way on the 2024 election? Let's see, what's the overall energy? Knight of Wands, things are going to proceed cautiously. Four of Cups, Judgment, the Star card, Two of Wands. I don't think so. I think he's got to proceed cautiously. People are watching. This is an election that's important. There's a lot of scrutiny going on. Any decision he makes that's questionable is going to be viewed. And I don't want to say he's the star, but all eyes are on him. He's not anonymous. All eyes are on him, and the things that he says that he's going to do, and the things he actually does. There's judgment on there. Is he going to negatively impact the 2024 election? I don't think so. I don't think there could be some issues every once in a while, but it's not going to be to the scale that we were concerned about in the 2020 election. Okay, so if you're an evil, twisted, sadistic person, you might take some joy, some DeJoy from this reading. I could be wrong on this one, but it's kind of more fun to think I'm right. Again, especially if you like watching somebody who comes across as kind of arrogant, wealthy, arrogant, and better than everybody. Watching them have their feet held to the fire and watching them twist in the wind. Again, I could be wrong, but I wouldn't be worried about the 2024 election and Louis DeJoy trying to torpedo it. There's too much stuff going on, watching and controlling him, that he can't really act out. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Thank you for supporting my videos and watching them, doing the thumbs ups and the comments and everything you do to help feed the YouTube algorithm so that my video moves up the food chain and gets out to a wider audience. To folks just discovering these videos for the first time, hey, welcome to the channel. Glad you found us. Hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.